All right, we are live. As usual, if you're watching this on the VOD, your first time, feel free to skip ahead. It usually takes us a little while to get going. If you're not familiar with the project, check out our website at monstersandmemories.com. If you're interested in learning more about how we got here, or man, at this point, any of the features, classes, races, world building, design, skip around, check out some of the other videos. Keith has been doing a fantastic job of taking excerpts from these videos and putting them both on our channel and also on Mandrake Farms. If that's not something that's easy to find on our YouTube, I need to fix that. So let me look at our YouTube really quick. YouTube. Monsters and Memories. Okay, yeah, so you can find it very easily in the channel section, right there. Mandrake Farms. If you go there, you will see a lot shorter videos. So excerpts on specific topics. Link to Robert YouTube as well. That's Robert playing one of our songs on an old piano at the sea. He went to a spa, I guess in Finland, and found that piano and just started playing one of our songs. Pretty badass. Yeah, so we got Mandrake Farms. We've got, well, I mean, I guess if you're watching this VOD on Twitch, all of this information is potentially new to you. If you're watching on YouTube, then you already know this. Why am I even showing you this? Anyway, and if you comment, we try to respond in a fairly timely manner. If you subscribe, that is always appreciated. If you click like, I guess that's also a bonus. So, yeah. What do we got on here right now? Oh yeah, so there are definitely some of the shorter videos. No, that's not shorter videos. These are raw VODs. Okay. They're just named very interestingly. It's weird. As soon as I start streaming, I forget everything about the world around me, including the fact that we've been naming our videos in that way. Anyway. It has updated my Discord. Cool. Is it updated? Yep. It's also updated Eminem Discord. Wonderful. Hey, Pattis. How's it going? I just made myself another coffee. We'll see if this one does the trick. How am I? I'm good. I ran out with the pup earlier to give him his afternoon walk, but also hit the market and buy some meat for the next couple of nights because the prices at the farmer's market are just so much better than the grocery store at this point, and the quality of the meat is so much better. So popped out to grab a bunch of chicken and stuff, and as soon as we got about halfway there, it started raining, and by the time we got back, we were both just drenched. So I'm actually sitting in my flannel pajama pants and a nice comfy sweatshirt, sweater, and the sun's out. So now the sun's out. Oh man, I'm actually drinking my coffee while it's still warm. Holy crap, that's hot. I love it. Kronos, good morning. Elorm, good morning. Belfaster, good morning. Kovac. Kovac's the monk? Hell yeah, dude. I don't think I mentioned it to the team in Slack. So Kovacs, unless it's a strange coincidence, Kovacs was in my guild in EQ back in the day. Long live TDE. Well, TDE will forever exist. TDE will exist for as long as the Powerpuff Girls movie exists. Because I'm trying to remember the name. I'm trying to remember his name now. Now I feel bad, but I'm trying to remember his name. Wizard. I don't think he was a wizard officer, but one of our wizards. I thought it started with a T. Was worked in LA at the time as a animator in movies. So he was like a technical art director for animated like feature-length films and cartoons and stuff. So he worked on like Aladdin and other things, and he worked on a Powerpuff Girls movie. And we went to LA. My ex and I went up to LA and spent a day with him. And he was showing like his demo reel. And if you watch, there's a fight scene in Powerpuff Girls where like a city bus or whatever is getting like run around. And if you pause it at the right time, the destination, like the destination bar on the bus actually has TDE written in it. So the Dark Exile will forever live in the Powerpuff movie. So over the weekend, Robert got like a really long ambient track that plays in the background now. So the zone music still plays, but then when the zone music's done, if I'm not mistaken, it goes into the... Well, that's a nice little scene. Look at a guard walking by. It goes into this like ambient, atmospheric music that he created, and it's fantastic. I was sitting here checking some stuff out earlier before the stream and listening to it. Ooh, I like that little moment where I can't wait till there's players running around everywhere with their light sources and stuff. Oh, that's so good. Is it just me? I think that's fantastic. And I'm not just saying it because I made it happen. Yeah, you have to look for it, Kovacs. Hey, Rev, what's up? Pattis, I am behind on everybody's streams right now. Did you add some stuff that I should go look at, showcase? Another question for you as well, Pattis. If you're not driving or in class or whatever, and can listen for questions. Was there a technical reason for keeping the gray box, like the gray placeholder texture, in place beyond just making it obvious that it's gray box? You need to upload the VODs later today. You know what? I probably am behind on my VODs as well. Shit. Oh, you started repositioning Wormsbane. Okay, cool. And the reason why I ask about the textures is strictly because I thought about it again when I was looking at the idea of doing kind of a quick retrospective video showing the old stuff and then the new stuff. And there are a couple scenes where it's showing like the original Night Harbor, like the week 1 Night Harbor. And and it has like a day-night cycle. We were so excited to show off day-night. But it's funny because it was such a janky version that I made compared to this. And I was just like, I can't wait to basically show, like, I was thinking about having it show the day-night cycle, and then of the original one, and then when it becomes night, have the day come up on the new one. And so I was like, oh, I wonder, would it look better with textures or whatever? But I don't think. Actually, don't change it. Don't change it. Because there's no reason to change it at the moment, like slap a texture on. Leave it as is, and then when we do the next retrospective video, then it'll be even more done. Hey, Tapper. Had a nice weekend. Had an interesting weekend. So both days wound up being kind of interesting in that our landlords, we see them in passing. Our landlords live right next to us, like right there. They own like all these townhouses, and they're super nice. But we mainly just have seen them in passing, and then they invited us to her birthday party, and it was basically going to be in the garden down below. And then, so we didn't know what to expect, but it was like the first time we've actually hung out with them, and it wound up being like 30 people or something like that, and they had the whole area like tented because it was raining a little bit, like tented over off of the building onto the garden, so it made more space. But then we realized that they use all of the downstairs, so like their downstairs basement level, the one under us, and the one under our neighbors. And so it was like this big area. It was really, we're perfect tenants. We're awesome, with the exception of the occasional dog noise. When we leave them, sometimes it'll be silly, but we're pretty awesome. Like I go out front and I sweep the sidewalk and all sorts of shit. I'm super into being a good neighbor. Yeah, all the basements are connected under the house, and they're like usable space, like playroom for the kids under one. Their kids are all older now, like youngest one's 18, but still, like foosball table and all this stuff. And then like, yeah, they had music and just beer kegs and all sorts of shit. So it wound up being really fun. So Saturday was a lot of fun. And then Sunday, Jasmine and I went to the gun range. Well, there's several, but we went to one of the gun ranges that we'd been researching and had visited before. And Jasmine got to shoot a bunch of guns for the first time ever. So do you have access into the basement from your place, or is it private to them? No, we don't have access at all. Basically, we're on the second and third story, and they're under us on the first story and basement, and then beside us on all of it. With the grandmother lives in, I think, the second and third story over here, maybe? I'm not sure. And then our neighbors they're also tenants on the other side. So, what are we gonna do today? You're picturing a row of townhouses? Well, it is a row. But they own... So they're also, I guess, connected between... Like the floor right below where I'm at is them. And then in our townhouse. But we come into a common door in our townhouse, and we could go straight and go into one of their areas, but that door is always shut. And then there's a door, you turn left in that little like mud room or whatever, unlock it, and then that goes upstairs into the second floor where we're at. Do any of those people know what I do? Any German EQ fans amongst our neighbors or garden neighbors? No, I think the only person I know in this area that's a gamer and has been in here before is my friend Martine, who he and his wife have a garden plot like 2 down from where we're our garden plot. And I found out that he makes German like YouTube content. Okay, so yeah, and the craziest part, okay, and then the craziest part about Sunday shooting. I don't know if there are any shooting enthusiasts amongst you. It's America, so there's like a 50-50 chance. But yeah, so Jasmine's a dental surgeon by day. That's her job. So she tends to like, she's very studious. She takes instruction extremely well. She takes everything very seriously. And she's very mechanically consistent, right? That's what you would expect from someone that's like doing very small surgery. Anyways, took her to the range for the first time, and the guy basically, it's like a gun safety course for a couple hours where it was just the 3 of us. The instructor is a German army instructor who also does this on like weekends. And so he basically, you know, walks us through all of their rules and safety and familiarizes her with firearms and firearm handling and grip and positioning, all this stuff. She's a natural. She's crazy. Where do I live with so many Germans? Pennsylvania? No, I live in Germany. That's why I'm streaming so early. It's actually 2 p.m. here. But yeah, so man, I was shocked and impressed. She fired 2 different 9mm, a 357, 12 gauge, and German Heckler & Koch rifle, 5.56. As a boy from the South and former member of the army, I was very proud and want to brag to everybody in the world about her. Hey, Dargoth. I was like, that's one more thing to check off our zombie apocalypse list. Not only can she lift weights, hold her own, do medical treatments, she will be able to shoot zombies. All right, so I'm going to make a new tune. One of the things I will probably do is spend some time in the database today. No. Do I live in Germany for work, or did I stay there after the army? Is your wife German? It's funny, I was telling the team these guys look like stormtroopers. So I moved here in 2015 for work. Work at a German game company in Hamburg. I spent 2 years in Hamburg before moving to Sweden for 3 years. While I was in Germany, I met my wife we continued to date casually at first, and then not so casually, but long distance. So there's a lot of flying back and forth from Sweden to Germany, and I've always liked Germany. I spent a number of years here when my dad was in the army when I was a kid. And so then when my contract, my contract was up in Germany, I moved to Sweden. Sweden, after like 2.5 years, I decided to leave that company, and we eventually started working on this game. And so she came back here to work at a clinic with some friends that she knew from the last time she lived here. So we just figured we'd stay here for a few years while I work on the game, and she works at the clinic. It's literally right around the corner, so it makes it easy. And then kind of see how things go. Edgar, thanks for the follow. Target said I was soloing on my cleric on P99, nuking down some undead and tracks peace, and it had me jonesing for Eminem real bad. That's good to hear. Speaking of nuking, let me scribe my spells and then mem them. I may spend some time today just doing the basic implementation of a few quests, so maybe a pretty chill day today. I'll put this here. Oh, we can't see it. Tappert said I was born in Germany and speak it, but we came to the US when I was a young kid, so I don't really have any connection to it. Want to go back one day though. My brother visited for a year and really enjoyed it. Yeah, I've been a big fan of Germany my whole life after spending my childhood here. Basically, I lived in southern Germany from age like 2 to 6 or 7-ish. I spent a year back in Florida where I was born. Like my family's there from like 7 to 8, and then moved back to Germany until like 11, till I was like 11. So most of my childhood was spent in Germany, and my sort of more formative years, you know, when you're 8, 9, 10, 11, at least I was reading a lot more. I found out about Dungeons and Dragons from the older kids on the school bus. Like, started watching fantasy movies because we had a VHS, and I really became like super fantasy nerd. You'd go to the arcade and you'd see games there that kind of inspired that. I could have sworn, I'd have to look, maybe I'm full of shit, but I could have sworn Gauntlet was out by then and Dragon's Lair. I remember recreating Dragon's Lair environments with my Legos because my parents bought me like the Lego castle knights and stuff. And we lived in a tiny village called Stromberg near Bad Kreuznach, and the village it's in a little valley, and it's all just like, it's very tiny, but it's all just crazy like Harry Potter houses connected, very old school wooden A-frame and stuff. And then there was a ruined castle on one hill that we'd go up and explore as kids, and there was a castle that was restored and is a hotel on the other hill. And there's like you could sneak behind everybody's houses by going up through the barn that we had connected to our house, and then you could walk along like the hillside and then go up in the hills, and there's like found an old abandoned like schoolhouse, and there's caves and shit. So I just was completely living in fantasy land my childhood. And then we'd go down to Bingen, which was only like 13 kilometers away. You go down to Bingen and it's on the Rhine River, and go to like Rudolsheim, and there's ruined castles and towers everywhere, and it's just like, what? As a kid, how can you not be completely in love with it? Plus, I really like the candy. The atmosphere is always cool. A lot of festivals and stuff. I came back. I only came back once before I moved here, and that was for Leipzig Game Convention. And I just found the atmosphere was the same. It wasn't as pretty there, but it was the same, and so I was excited to move back. So yeah, I moved here. I was dating someone at the time, and like basically the only way we could move together is if we got married. Otherwise she wouldn't have been able to stay. So we got married right before I moved to Hamburg. Got here. She didn't like Germany. I did. So got a new wife. I have a German wife. It was bound to happen, I guess, one of these times. So plenty of White Castles in the US. Yeah, White Castle. Delicious. I actually like White Castle and Crystal Burger. The chicken truck, there's like a rotisserie chicken truck. They're pretty common in different areas around here. I guess in Germany in general. The chicken truck has got a Crystal Burger cup, like bootleg image on it, because it's like French fries and soft drink and chicken, and the cup they're using is from a Crystal Burger. They just got it off the internet, I guess. You were born in Gopingen? Your German geography isn't too hot, but I know where a few places are relative to there. Yeah, everything I'm describing is basically along the Rhine River, pretty far south of here. Few castles in the US, but they're few and far between and nowhere near as old as the German ones. Yeah. You know, some cool fortresses and stuff from the wars in the US. Fizzle. Ooh, that's pretty big. So, those of you that have... Oh, I probably should have... Whoa, that's crazy, Zukin. That effect is... So, those of you that haven't been watching, we had a bunch of placeholder effects in that I made before. And Zukin's been going in and basically learning how to do the effects with the... I use the new crazy system, and he's using the sort of the base Unity effect system. And so he's going to be doing some updates there. But if you scroll through some of the... If you're new here, if you scroll through some of the older VODs, you can see... You can kind of see the difference and see what we're shooting for. And then Robert has been attaching sounds. We just put in the WY's sound engine, and so they've been hooking stuff up. Yeah, so here you can see like it's a mix of the two, the old effects and the new effects, and so we'll be working on those. Yeah, Dargith. No, it's... I would say that's super placeholder. So it's going to wind up being kind of a combination of the two look. If you remember the ones that we've been using, essentially here, I'll do minor spell shield again, because I was just right before the stream mentioning this to Zukin and DMs. Was basically he's created new sprites. So I'm gonna cheat and just cast heal. So Oh, I'm not a GM. GM on. Yeah, so he's making the strongest, but by strongest Belfaster, my understanding is it's going to be the most elaborate because the spell effects get more elaborate and more powerful as you level up. So he's starting from like a very elaborate, very sparkly look, and then he can do some sort of subtractive. So BDC Retro said, do you expect there will be opacity sliders so you can make the spell effects more transparent for the player? I'd have to look and see if that's already in our options list. If it's not, then we definitely need to have spell effects options. In terms of transparency on the effects itself, as he's working, we'll see them evolve. So essentially, feedback is like if you look at heal, right? It looks pretty old school, and so it kind of nails that, you know, sparkles and stuff. So things that we'll be working on are the transition in, transition out, the opacity of each individual sprite, each sparkle. And what I mean by that is if you look at this spell, so this one, I like the opacity and sort of color combinations of the original effect that I made here. And so I was mentioning to him that I want to see if we can preserve that kind of softness while still getting, if you look at the new ones that come in, using these sprites, but then get them to feel a little more transparent and stuff like that. And then the other thing that I was mentioning is I liked some of the patterns that we're using in the placeholder, and not just because I made them, but like when you saw the cleric buff, it was a circle that was along the ground, and like the sparkles moved their way in and worked with the light, you know, the illumination, and then we could have something, right? So I don't, you know, my preference, and again, this is it's a team project, so and you guys have input, the team has input. My preference is that we retain some of those shapes and some of those patterns and movement while still being very much a bunch of pretty sparkles and light, and not being like a bunch of big shields appearing and other shit, right? So Jenny Glaus said, is this made from scratch on server and client side? It is made from scratch utilizing the Unity engine. And so we didn't start from scratch with regards to the engine and tools. We have used different versions of the Unity server and gone back and forth. We've started with ML API and for networking, and since then have switched to the LightNet lib, which has been heavily modified by Ali and the team to work specifically for what we need. So Ali's been very focused on making basically making the networking as light and sort of functional to our specific needs as possible. And so we've got a video that we've shown a few times, and if you're interested, I mean, I could always show it again, where you can see the number of entities and stuff that we're supporting, and things are working well. So I mean, without a doubt, as we get people in, we're gonna learn a lot and have to do some optimization, but so far all of the art is from scratch by us, has been throughout the process, and yeah, all of the tooling and functionality and stuff beyond just the base engine is ours as well. Let's see. BDC said, transparency would be more for performance reasons. If you have a bunch of people casting, it tones it down some so you can see through the particles. Oddly enough, though, it's my understanding, I'm not an expert in this area, it's my understanding that having a ton of overlapping transparencies actually is more costly. But I don't know. That's something for like Ollie and the tech and art folks. But having the ability for you to turn off particles if you're in an environment with a lot of people or whatever, and your machine can't handle it, we'll definitely, yeah, so it will be good for us to provide those options, and we've got a huge list of options that we want to provide. So if that's not on there already, then I would assume it'll eventually make it on the list. Archmage Salamar, thank you for 3 months. Let's see, what size is the M&M team right now? We are 12 people, including me. I think spell effects are where you can be inspired by other games, but take in some other directions. Maybe not crazy stuff like summoning a demon over a monster and dropping a giant hammer on their head. Add some variety where it didn't exist, but could have an EQ. Belfaster continued, but watching Zukin streams, I pulled up a video of every EQ spell effect, and you can tell a lot of work went into them. There's a lot of layers going on once you really look at them. Yeah, so my thought is a lot of games went with other direction. Even EQ over time became more elaborate, and it became more about like having, what's the right term for it? Sprites that look like objects, that, you know, look like shields and ghosts and all sorts of other shit, that kind of took it beyond like just the fear skull and something, right? Yeah, like pictures or videos. And then a lot of us really just like the sparkles that feel just kind of less structured and more like magic. And by structured, I don't mean the shape or the pattern from which they, you know, the pattern that they use when they move through the world or whatever. It's just kind of simpler sprites that feel more magical. And so where I would like to see us push things with that, though, is to have them do more than just kind of radiate out in either rains or splashes or circles, right? I don't know if it's still in. It may not be in anymore, but let me see if I can find a... There was like a mez, I think, that I created, where we also have spell effects that play during... that play while the effect is in play, or while the effect is there. How would you say that? Anyway, the mez... I'm gonna find a mez real quick and see if it's still there. So I'm over here looking. Do. I guess I could just filter mesmerize. There we go. Hey, Nicodemus. Doesn't show. Let me do it one more time and see what it looks like. Oh no, it's still on there, I guess. No, that was just it landing. Ah, maybe it was something else. Fascinate? Guess not. Oh, I fascinated myself. Yeah, anyway, so to sort of wrap up that train of thought, definitely want to play with the patterns, play with the sort of the look of the sprites and things, and then we'll continue to use lights. You can see that we have lights on the character when you're casting. We have lights on the target when they impact. So, yeah. Jenny said, that's really cool. The way to do it. It's good to have control and knowledge to be able to optimize as needed. MMOs are so dependent on being optimized to handle everything that's happening client and server. Thanks for answering my question. You're very welcome. Yeah, the newer effects just became a bit much. So, nope, I'm excited to see how these evolve. Sethric, I'm not playing an enchanter. I was just trying to find a specific spell, so I was cheating as a GM. In theory, I was playing an elementalist, but what I may wind up doing is I was debating. Well, nothing to apologize for. You made the right call. I mean, I was casting enchanter spells on a character you hadn't seen before. So, all right. So, what do we want to do today? One of the things that I can do, you know what? I can log back into game and have that be in the background while working in a database, so that it's easy to sort of transition over and show stuff if people have questions, while also having some music in the background, because watching me type stuff into a database is not necessarily the most exciting thing for you, I bet. Bu- 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 Hey, Sakai. Thank you for the sub. I can delete some of these. Let me. They're mainly just used for testing quests. I'm probably going to implement cleric quests now, so I'll make a cleric. The Council for Efficient Storage advocates for storing as much as possible on high shelves. As a gnome, how do you feel about that? That is fine, because as a gnome, I know how to build ladders and shit. I'm not a caveman. Come on. Come on, Datham. Alright. So, I've got a torn note. If I read it... Oh, I've already updated this. Great. Bring this note to Giselle Hele to begin your training. I'll update that note to provide a little bit more information. Hey, Alvius. Datham said, yeah, but they'd be clockwork ladders that are more complicated than they should be. Oh, sure. But, I mean, at least it's safer than the shelf climbing rocket pack. Or the Nomapult. Or my patented tall shoes. Or the tiny hot air balloon that I use to navigate the kitchen. Hey, Sam, what's up? Nicodemus said, I enjoyed filling that last survey out. Made me really think about race class combos. Can't wait to see the results and Goblin's work for it. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Zaba asked, is this custom music for your game? It sounds great. Yep, this is custom music. And here, I'll, you know what? I actually need to, I should make a command. So let's do that right now while I'm thinking about it. Lee Save Quit said, have a good rest of your day, everyone. Yard work calling. Enjoy your yard work. It just started. We just hit rainy season here, so I'm going to be indoors a lot more. So enjoy your yard work while you can. So YouTube. Datham said, don't forget what happened to the cat when you built the Catapultron 9000. Yeah, poor cat. But I'm more of a dog person. Alright, so go here, hit pause, go to playlist. We've got a playlist that is all of Robert's music that he's made for us. View full playlist. Copy that. So share. Copy. And the lighting in this continues to impress. The lighting is, man, there's just so much love. Yeah, it's funny, like, while I'm doing this over here, you're just watching the shadow change. Keep in mind, our day-night cycle is, it's artificially fast. Turn up! 26 months. Thank you for being here, Turn Up. How are you? 26 months is a long damn time. It's pretty crazy. Teresa Dawn, thank you for the follow. Yeah, so the day-night cycle is artificially fast at the moment because back in the day, before we had the ability to set the time to whatever we wanted, we just had it going pretty fast so that we could cycle through easily. But we're going to update that to be 45 minutes to start with and kind of see how that feels. And so some of the shadows and other things that you see right now will be even nicer because they just won't be sort of zipping away so fast. So while I do this, I'll leave that in the background. Let's go to my Streamlabs chatbot. Commands. Let's see. Make a new command. The command will be music. Give it a little cooldown. Thanks. Yeah, I've got a copy as well, but those of you that are waiting on me, you can click the link that Ali has just posted. That is a link to all of Robert's music he's made so far. It's really fun stuff. It's a great playlist. What you're hearing in the background, though, is not on there yet. So what they added over the weekend is the music will play through in a new zone, and then once it's played through, it'll transition into this atmospheric, it's like a 30-minute loop that goes through all sorts of just different sounds and little bit of music, right? So you can listen to that. I'll stop babbling for a moment while I type this. you want to hear more of our Eminem soundtrack, click here. So let's see. And then I'll have to make a button on my stream deck. So, copy, paste, music, music. There we go. All right. So that should work now. Thank you for not letting me slack and not do that. It's good that I got that knocked out while I was thinking about it. Otherwise, I would have written it on my things to do list and then not gotten it done, which is unnecessary. Like I said, glad there's an ambient soundtrack in between, so it's not the same song playing in a loop every 5 minutes. I'll be honest, we've had the same song playing in a loop every 5 minutes for the last few months, and it's really grown on me. And it wasn't that bad, but what's going on here? Interesting. Like, how did I manage to make that window smaller? Apparently magic. But yeah, having the atmospheric setup is pretty wonderful. So, what were we doing? We were, yeah, Chronos. I really like the glass flats one as well. Boy, my dog is being super needy today. Yep, that's you, buddy. So as we've been expanding, or basically as I've been going in and taking the original lore that Hamad wrote up for the clerics and paladins here, it's been fun kind of having that evolve, and it will eventually lead to some changes in these structures. So that'd be pretty cool. Sitting down with Harrison / Pattis and redoing this a little bit. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun kind of getting in ahead of these characters and starting to get this worked out. So the pick is actually version 1 of my dog. I'm on version 2 now. He is an Alaskan Klekai. So he's basically, he's kind of like a tiny version of a husky. The fisheye on the camera makes him look bigger than he is. Otherwise, I've got a giant hand. So the dog in the emote is Ziggy, and this little guy is Rune. Yeah, he's definitely a sweetie, but he's a little bit needy. He's a little sleepy. Yeah, he needs to go in his crate. So we're about to. I'm gonna put him in his crate real quick. Yeah, Isan, he's a fan of hiking. We took him not long after we got him. We took him to the Black Forest on a camping trip, and he was really good. Had a lot of fun. Had a lot of fun camping with us. And we had him on a long leash, but he's really good at coming back if there are no other dogs. And so he was just kind of running down a trail and looking at stuff and hanging out, and his recall is real good, so that was impressive. He's a fantastic dog, with the exception of he wasn't socialized very well before we got him. I think he got sort of stomped on because he's tiny. He got stomped on by a lot of the other dogs. So he's pretty insecure with other dogs, and so he'll like run up and like try to give him a quick nip to test him. And then if nothing happens, often he'll be pretty chill. But he can, I don't know. He's not really like aggressive, like mean aggressive, but anyways, he's a little bit of a shit starter with other dogs. So we're just cautious about that. Beyond that, he's great. We're going to be camping. Oh, yeah. Thanks for the reminder. I'm going to be gone for the first 2 weeks of October. Our vacation to the U.S. this year kind of wound up being a wash. And so because that vacation wound up crapping out, we've decided to try to get a actual real vacation in. So we're going to go back down to the Black Forest to camp and hike the first 2 weeks of October. So that's coming up weekend after this one. So I will be away from keyboard. But I'll let you guys know in our Discord and stuff. If you're new here, this is the M&M Discord. If you want to ask more questions about the tech or the game or anything, that's the place to do it. And then this is my sort of stream personal Discord where I talk about gardening and all sorts of other random shit. So, yep. Card, thank you for the follow. What's in October like in Germany? Nice weather? It varies. We're probably going to get rained on, and it'll be a little chilly at night at a minimum. So it varies. Teresa, did I already thank you for the follow? I thought I did. If I didn't, Teresa, thank you. And yeah, Tappert, the dog's name is Rune. You spelled it correctly. Because he's got, when we first saw him on the website, he has like he's got like an arrow sigil on his face. So... and sigil didn't really roll off the tongue. Though I almost did call him Sigil just because then it would be easy to call him by the previous version of him's name. Because Ziggy and Siggy would probably be pretty easy. Cassie Rose, thank you for the follow. Too bad more dog owners aren't that honest about dogs' temperament on trails, woods, camps. We actually will muzzle him. He's got 2 different muzzles that we'll take with him in a situation where, you know, if we want to take him on a trail or something like that, we'll keep that with us because if there's other dogs or the possibility we may go around like a blind curve or something like that, then we'll have that just to take on and off so that even in a worst case scenario, if he bounces over at some dog, nothing's going to happen. If you named him Sigil, he would slip through the planescape. It was a good choice. Yeah, fair. You muzzle your kids for the same reason? Yeah, see? I'm a good dog owner. You're a good parent. Alright, so let me bring these up. While I'm chatting with you guys, and while we're looking at game stuff and I'm answering questions, I mean, this is a development stream, so I'm assuming people that are coming in here for the first time, or those of you that have been here for a bit, I'm assuming you're used to people working on stuff, right? So maybe I should actually work. Let me figure out... I gotta figure out where I put all of this stuff. Ishiwatari. Ishiwatari. Vielen Dank für 20 Monaten. Teresa Dawn asked, sorry if you've already answered this question. I was curious if you have a planned release date for the game. No, we're driving at specific milestones one at a time to figure that out and figure out what release will actually mean or look like. We're currently working on a proof of concept. So we're making a thorough vertical slice of all of the core features, functionality, and representative content. And our first big goal for this year is, before the end of the year, we want to get people in and playing with us. At this point, we've got an installer, patcher, launcher. We're using Sola. So we're using the Sola software or service. So that's handling all of that for us, and it's good because it can be GDPR compliant and handle registration and subscription and security and all of that other stuff. So that takes a bit of the burden off our shoulders. So you can currently get a link, download the game, install it, and play it. So we're confident in our goal of being able to get people in. But the challenge that we have is we want to make sure that as we start to get people in, we've already done at least a decent first pass on client security. I'm working right now to get content in at the initial sort of starting content. Hand in your newbie note, get your first couple of quests, and then you're kind of on your own. We're not a quest-driven game. We're very old school in the sense that we're not holding your hand. You've got to sort of explore and make your own way. There will be quests throughout the game, but it'll be very much that old style. There's no question marks over NPCs' heads or any of that stuff. You really do have to go and like talk to NPCs and figure out sort of what's going on. So anyway, the goal of getting people in is really just more about we want to work on some usability issues. We want to work on a little bit of performance, but honestly, I personally don't think that's going to gate us from starting to get a few people in to check things out. My primary concern, to be honest, is just getting a little bit of content for folks to have something to do, even if that's not the focus of the playtest, and security. So, and everything on top of that is, it's just sort of like icing on the cake. And then once we get in that habit and understand how we're going to handle playtests and a sort of allocation of keys and timing with regards to playtest, and also what else? Yeah, I think most of it is just sort of and feedback and how we want to handle feedback, all of that. For the initial playtest, it should be pretty straightforward because our initial playtests aren't going to be focused on like, tell us what you think about the class, or tell us what you think about, the quest you're just on. Is really just going to be about tech and stability. And then once we get that done, we'll get a better impression of sort of where we're at on those fronts. And then really after that, it's going to be more and more about getting the remaining missing features in, especially ones that are sort of critical loops, and then a lot of content. And so working on all of the proof of concept content. And yeah, so next year should be an interesting one for us, because in some form or fashion, we'll be able to broaden the number of people that we have in and playing with us, and we'll be able to broaden our definition of a play test and go from there. If we're getting people in and from a technical standpoint things are going very well, we're happy from a security standpoint as well. If the content's coming along, and if the feedback from people that we start getting in more and more is that they're enjoying themselves, and it feels like even with a subset of content that we're retaining folks pretty well, and you're happy, then we'll talk about what a launch may look like, how we want to move forward with being able to scale the content, all of that, right? So consider this just sort of the first step. Yeah, as soon as we figure all that out, we'll definitely have more word on playtest. Have we talked about account resets prior to official launch? Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of those things that people just have to be aware of. There will be a state prior to whatever state we consider like, all right, this server will remain as is as we move forward, that people should just realize that's not your forever character. Tapper said, not that they're exactly the same, but I love that about Dark Souls. You find your way around and learn the story in whatever order you choose. Well, I mean, a lot of the discussion about making this game, I mean, this game is being made because we discussed on stream what it would be like to make a game like this, and just started doing it. And I mean, I originally got back into playing EverQuest and then streaming EverQuest because I was playing Escape from Tarkov, and it was, it was no hand holding and very brutal, and that reminded me of EQ. And so, and then from there, I mean, I think we've talked a lot about the Souls games and how it's how there's a market for people that are looking for something that's a bit harder, a bit more free form. Any chance to check out work Pattis did last night in Wormsbane? Yeah, for sure. And those of you that aren't on the mailing list, we're doing a survey right now to gather information on which illustrations we should include on our class page. So in the future, we'll be doing more surveys of that sort, I'm sure. And if you're interested in playtesting, both of those things mean you should probably be on the mailing list. That survey gave you the hives? Why did it give you the hives, Esan? As I said, FYI, I moved the zone line last night, but it doesn't seem to work now. If you move the zone line, did the server get updated? You mean shingles? You didn't want to make wrong answers? I'm trying to avoid getting aggroed. I'm gonna run up there now and see if I can make it without. Oh, we'll see. I'll run up here and see if I can zone in. Not excited about that scout. Skip Sandwiches said, wow, this looks like super Super EverQuest in a good way. That's the first time I've heard that. It's like EverQuest 64. That's the first time I've heard that, and I like it a lot. Oh, look at this. Secrets. Nice. Nicodemus said, short answer, I kind of want all the race class combos. Should be drawn, but I also don't want Goblin to die from exhaustion. Yeah, so one of the things for folks to keep in mind is we're going to have a lot of other illustrations, right? I mean, look at the various illustrations he's done so far with regards to, you know, the book covers that he's been doing, right? So you'll eventually see a lot of those different combos, and he's very conscious, we're very conscious of making sure that we mix things up and represent a lot of the different combos, because why not? And it's fun. Kimmery said, me and my friend were discussing what EQ3 would have looked like if it went back to original MMO designs. Is 100% what the visuals would look like. Oh, rad. Bradatron says, the Freeport and Commonlands nostalgia is really hitting. Yeah, well, nostalgia is a big deal for us. And we're trying to pull in as many different nostalgic sources as possible. We talk about it all the time. We want to pull in the nostalgia from our early days of playing MMOs. We want to pull in nostalgia from, you know, the thing that we're talking about right now is this art. For those of you that are new, you probably haven't seen it. So let's look at a couple of these. So these illustrations are inspiration for us. Right. So they're very kind of book cover-ish, and they stem from this idea of like always illustrating a party, because we're a group-focused game, some sort of apparel. So in this case, these orcs, this orc warlord, in a place, like some interesting location. And so there's one. Let's look at... Sorry that I make that noise all the time. It's probably annoying. That was August. Where's... Oh, June? Oh no, we started doing... Well, here. Here's one that you can see as well. And they're on our Discord. So if you go to the art section of our Discord, you can see them there. Is your name really FU Justin? Thank you for the follow. Your name is kind of fun. And so what we're talking about is we just ran a survey to sort of get your ideas on illustrations, because we want to do our website, the race, class, lore, etc., to have like an old school manual feel. And so we're going to be doing different classes and have it really feel like the sections of a manual, a player manual. And we wanted to figure out which races should represent which classes. So we sent that out over the weekend. So hey Keebs, humble vibe, thank you for the follow. Nicodemus said Goblin has a good feel for the emotion of the moment. Goblin's got a good feel for a lot of stuff, but I know what you're shooting at. Yeah. So Pattis, this is really cool. And I think that we still maintain a good... Did I die or did I just never scribe my spells? I thought I scribed them. Though I guess I could just turn off my aggro. Pettis said the area still needs some work. I'm not as happy with the reveal as I am with Fiona's tomb room. Fiona's room works really well. Lighting needs work though. I haven't seen it yet. I may pop in there and go look then. I'll just turn off aggro and get down there. Did you end up making it 2 stories? Are the other rooms and stuff in there as well? Hey, Keith. Don't forget the occasional griffin that spawns and murders newbies in this area. Don't worry. It won't be a griffin, though. Kimry said playing on nostalgia so well, but it also doesn't look like falling behind graphically. Yeah, the lighting helps a huge amount. We're going to continue to iterate on textures. I mean, you can see we still got placeholder stuff, but we'll continue to work on texture fidelity and yeah, I just realized now that you'd actually changed the placeholder textures on that Pattis. But yeah, so coming up here, this area is interesting enough that it pulls you up here even without the overt like dragon skull. And so especially if we put, you know, a few lights up here and stuff, and then we can maybe have an archaeologist or something. A couple archaeologists up here and blah blah blah. So we'll work on that on the content side, but this elevated area does a great job on its own of drawing you up here. So we'll play around with that, and then maybe some torches at the entrance area here to pull you into the canyon. Cordan, this is a game that's very heavily inspired by our love of the MMOs of the late 90s, early 2000s. That's how I'm going to tactically answer that question. Oh, Pattis was just saying exactly the same thing that I was saying only before I said it, so. Ooh, I see what you're saying now. Okay. So this is a cave. Once we're able to flag this as being dark even during the day, then I think that's going to help a bit as well. Right? Because in theory, this shouldn't be lit. So I think we're going to do that with volumes. And so then really it's just going to be about the approach, right? Hey, well below average. Somebody else came in. Vagrant. Hey, Vagrant. Keebs, that's an interesting point. The application of the cave texture... Oh, it's getting dark, so we can actually test that theory. Yeah, that texture actually wound up... It looks really good right there. It's the same texture we've been using, but... So yeah, those of you that are new, we're going for like a very kind of hand-painted old fantasy art look on our textures and stuff. Would be cool if skeletons were spewing out now that you broke the seal on the tomb. BDC, we could probably do some stuff that's more of an event for that, but we want our newbies to actually be able to get in here. EHG Sanswar, good morning. All right. You might already be thinking about this, Pattis, but you know what? You know what might help here is just go harder on the reveal. So if when you come around the corner, if this elevation drops and it basically just makes the full frame of the right, because what's happening now is you're kind of getting a half. It's basically it's taking too long to do the full reveal, so it kind of doesn't reveal as hard. Does that make sense? That sounds kind of weird. So like as soon as you come around the corner, it's just like make the mouth of this open. And then boom. Like as soon as I pie this corner, it should just be like, so I would just make this the end of the tunnel much bigger so that it's automatically a reveal. And if you're not here, Pattis, I'll again repeat that later in Slack or whatever. Bradatron, thank you for the sub. To keep sunlight from coming in the cave during the day, how do you resolve that as a dev? So it's my understanding, that within Unity we'll be able to define indoor areas via volume, probably. And so that should, well, skybox and all that should be obstructed by the geo. There's a little gap here, but Pattis will fix it. There was a gap somewhere here. So the geo will obstruct the view of everything that you're not supposed to see because you're in a cave, but the lighting should change here at the mouth of the cave. So once I enter the volume, then it'll transition the lighting, and then we'll come in. It'll be dark here. But overall, Harrison, this is great. I think the reveal is going to be really nice. This is beautiful. It is. I think Gary and others that were sort of pushing on moving it to be out of the way. You know, like make it less obvious and less theme parky. They're absolutely correct on that. And I think this is going to be fantastic. And honestly, this looks so much cooler. So really great work. I would say tiny minor thing, I wouldn't be afraid to even have this sort of go down even more to make it more of a bubble of a room. You know what I mean? So it kind of goes down that way. Because for whatever reason, like mentally, when I get here, I want to walk up and into the mouth. And I think it's similar to the feedback in the room that we're eventually going to go to. And in that, it'll make the chamber feel a little bit bigger as well. Yeah, so this is actually based off of, let me find that concept. One of the, oh, nope, this is the new one. This. So, yeah, this was one of the first ones that Goblin did for us. And here we go. So let me turn off aggro so I don't die when I go in here. Oops, let me make this tune a GM first. Yeah, I love this. I love this. And I like that we're using the original color. This looks great. I could just see Gygax asking the players at the table, "Are you sure you want to enter the Snake's Head? The Snake's Head archway?" Yeah. No mobs guarding the entrance. Corey, no. Let's see if this actually the zone line works. Maybe it's not broken Pattis, but we'll see. Oh, okay. I'll remember that, Pattis. Okay, cool. I'm in here. Let me aggro off again. Maybe some skeletons, but in theory, oh, and we can change this lighting here now that we've got consistent lighting because it's in a cave. We can fix that. Cool. Oops. Let me give myself a torch. So, Cordan, in theory, this entrance area has been, it's been explored. It's in the process of being explored by archaeologists, but they're not able to go very deep because bad things have been happening to them. Excuse me. Aggro's off, so I should be fine. Little flickery light. You guys were talking about this in Slack, weren't you? I remember you talking about some light flickers that emerged. They're hitting my frame rate a little bit as well. Yeah, Cordan. So we're gonna we'll put a little bit of information about like the world on the website, but most of the lore is just gonna be through exploration of the game. I'm in the wrong place. Skip sandwiches, yeah. It would. The question was, if the cave has been explored but not very deep, would adding friendly NPC or two near the entrance make sense? Yeah, so you'll likely encounter some archaeologists around here. Ollie has fixed the skeleton's eyes so they glow again. That's nice. Honestly, I don't know where I'm going, so I'm just exploring for a little bit. For those of you that have never been here before. Lieutenant put some clothes on. He's a fun lieutenant. Maybe an archaeologist with a guard from the city arguing about whose problem the undead are. Yeah. City guard's like, listen, we're city guard. You're gonna have to call in the red mantles for this. I'm not going in there. This is a bit of a maze. It is. Hell, Pattis is really good at creating mazes. I got lost in the basement of the inn earlier. I was looking around because quest that I'm working on sends you in there. And I got lost in the basement of the inn in town. And, oh, that reminds me. There's a question way up there that I need to scroll back up and answer. But yeah, I was just like, and I was starting to envision some of the stuff you may find in the deeper levels of this basement. I was getting really excited. It's not appropriate for the quest that I was working on, but I can't wait to do it. Let me scroll up because somebody asked a question. Okay, Skip Sandwiches did. What's your opinion on common areas, bazaars, guild halls, etc., and game adjacent content, trade skills, mini games, etc.? Didn't see either in the FAQs. So trade skills, if you look around our city's placeholder NPCs next time we're in there, you'll see we've got a shitload of crazy ideas for trade skills. So we put in a placeholder for everything we could think of that we'd eventually want to explore. We want to go heavy with like trade skills that are both crafting skills, but then some interesting stuff that's just kind of a thing you can learn that may unlock certain content later and may not have as much support as like, there's probably going to be a lot more to do with blacksmithing than with, astronomy. But we wanted to include that so that we would be thinking about, okay, so what cool thing can we do with astronomy, especially since we'll have moon cycles that impact content and things like that as well. So big fans of trade skills. A couple of folks on the team are definitely very, very excited about trade skills. Ali comes from a UO, Ultima Online background as well, and is a big fan of some stuff that was going on there. And so that will then get into the idea of guild halls, shops that players can rent and operate out of, player housing, things of that nature. So there will be some secondary, or how did you put it, like some core loop adjacent loop, I don't know. The question about auctions, we're gonna start with something that is essentially like a been calling it kind of an escrow container, or a commission container, something of that sort. But basically what we want to do is retain the active trade component, so people that like to sit in a tunnel and hawk their wares and haggle and all of that, make it so that other players can give items to those types of players securely without having to trade themselves. And then the person selling the item will get a percentage of the sale. And if they try to do anything kind of hinky with the item, delete it, it exceeds the time frame that was agreed upon for sale or whatever, it goes back to the original owner, that type of stuff. So it's an idea that I think will be a lot of fun, but it's also, I can already imagine a few exploits with it and stuff, so we'll have to play with it. Those of you that were saying that you really like, oh, I'm in this section of the dungeon, that's why there are no mobs. So the dungeon was expanded by Harrison, and so I'm in the expanded section. So I need to work my way back to the other areas, maybe without cheating. I may just be lost. So that's why it's kind of barren in here. And Harrison is teaching his class now, so he cannot guide me. And that answers your question from earlier. Are you guys going to do walls with no collision, secret walls like EQ has? I just fell through a floor. Yeah, so we've been doing, even since the first early prototype environments that I was building, one of the first things I tried to do was like figure out how to easily do secret passages in Unity, and it was super easy. Okay, I'm lost, and I just fell down the same hole. So let me find myself and see. I gotta cheat. Where am I? Clients here. Here. There I am. So nice to see stuff like that without a pin on top showing you there's something here, or glowing path showing you. Yeah, so we have another system that is in game that helps with that as well. Can I actually pull myself through this? Yeah, so if you look, he's added all of this in here, and this will be taking you somewhere. But it's quite an expansion on this dungeon. And so this is a very low level dungeon, but as you progress through it, you'll find pockets of higher level stuff, and then there's that other area that's the thing of its own. So, and it'll be fun. It's going to tie into our deep theme and stuff. So let me see if I can just pull myself to where I need to be. I am always lost in, ooh, in here. Okay. I was like, does that drop you down? Let's see. Cindercroft.
Looks good.
Hey, thank you for 5 months. Hey Justin, what's up, buddy? So the other thing that sort of taps into what you're saying is not only is there not like a glowy thing that's telling you to, you know, go here or whatever. We've got whoop. Because I'm not invulnerable. Oh. I died. I killed myself. I just dropped myself to my death. Alright. That was not the plan, as you can tell. I just picked myself up and dropped myself like I was playing black and white or something. Alright. I have been touched by the hand of God. I once was interviewed by the lead AI designer of Black and White because he is now one of the co-founders of DeepMind, an AI company in London. It was really cool to be able to talk to him about Black and White. It was like one of his first game jobs, I think. He was a youngin' too. Your dad was a real paladin at heart, and he did not like you throwing your villagers into the sea to get more evil in Black and White. That's fair. I try not to. I don't like doing mean things in games. I swear I'm a nice guy in real life. Like I don't even like killing live side froglocks. If you still have contact info, it'd be a good person to interview on stream. Potentially, he's very busy with his ginormous, ultra famous company. But he might do it. Who knows? That'd be interesting. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to summon my corpse. And then I'm going to try to actually find the room that I've just spent 30 minutes looking for. But it's been nice, showing you around. Yeah, Turnip, the idea of keeping trade and stuff as manual and player driven as possible. It was an easy one for us. I think we're all on board with that concept. Aggro off. Invulnerable. There we go. That's better. Now let's see if I can find this damn room. This isn't it, but it's the interesting area. Black and White made some interesting situations for you, Zeba says, where my 10-year-old ass would brag about my genius realization of how it's better to have males impregnate people for work rather than females. My parents were very confused and worried about what I do with my free time without context. Video games, man. Sometimes I don't know if I'm just getting old or what. Sometimes I've like got to stare at the screen that's got the chat that's coming up because I'm like, that red name, for whatever reason, I'm just gonna call you Meter. As soon as I saw like that red, it's almost like it's glowing. The red is so red that I'm having trouble reading it. Okay, so all the way back to something Kimmery was saying. So not only am I pronouncing it right? It's funny, I'm better with fantasy names than actual real names. So, Meterpreter session said Meterpreter. Preter. English is hard. Meterpreter session. Recently studying OPSEC stuff. Superman asked, will multi-boxing be allowed? It's like interpreter but with meter. Meterpreter. I thought I did that the first time, guys. I can't pronounce stuff. If it's something strange, I'll probably pronounce it better if it's just actual English. I blame living in Germany. Will multi-boxing be allowed? Superman said. So, for the initial server, what we want to do is look at what our population looks like. So the short answer is we want to discourage multi-boxing initially. Look at what the server populations look like, and eventually we understand multi-boxing, especially if it's like true boxing and not out of hand. Get it? I think we've all done it. Nicodemus, thank you for 12 months. So anyway, we understand it. It's something we're going to look at. What about custom private servers? Very unlikely. Over the history of the game later on, I think there's some stuff that we want to like if we achieve everything that we want to achieve, there's some stuff that we want to do with MMO preservation, stuff that we want to do that kind of ties into folks on the team's background with the emulator scene and things like that, but that's a good ways down the road. So anyway, Kimmery. Man, something about both the lighting and everything right here just makes this feel nice. If you look here, we have a look button. And if you look at the text down here, when I use look, it tells me there's a large crack in the wall here. And so that's the beginning of, so inspect crack. You see something glistening on the ground. And Nick, if you don't mind, actually, I'd like to expand that phrase that's, or the response there just a little bit for clarity. So I'll go to our mud object. Night Harbor. Yeah. I do have some skeleton. Oh wait, no, it's Wormsbane. Skeleton booty in my face. Hey Nick. I was just showing off the interaction that you had added in here, and was saying that if you don't mind, I'm gonna expand the response just a little tiny bit for clarity. So you see something glistening on. Oh, how would I want to phrase that? You see something glistening on the ground on the other side, because I inspect crack. Nick, thank you for being here for 28 months. I was just commenting in our team Slack about some of the early conversations, and when we basically first started talking about the idea for this game. So yeah, like Nicodemus said, this is essentially like the old repop text-based games. So we've called them mud object, but it's basically text-based interaction. Let all the mobs buff up. In the future, that should be limited by proximity, so it's not so spammy, I guess. Yeah, so what we want to do is increase the amount of interaction that you can have with the world without breaking the bank, in terms of like art and animation and all that other stuff. And so, and then we're gonna tie like this look and inspect, and then other sort of other interactions. We currently have things like pry, and so it'll know basically you can pry if you've got a weapon or item that can be used for prying, things like that. We're just talking, or I just wrote up sort of a feature request to change it to be a bit more generic, so that it's kind of a more generic use, and so that we can mix nouns and verbs a little bit more freely within the system. But it allows us to basically take actual items that you have in your inventory, check to make sure that you can do the interaction, potentially have them on your cursor. That's the way it's set up, but it's not currently working like that 100% at the moment. And then set up interactions where you can do fairly complex things, like whether it be puzzles or pry the bottom out of a box and then, you know, type in a combination, or use a special key, or drop in a gem into a slot, or do things in certain orders, all of that stuff. So we've got the foundation for that in. Oh, and what I was saying is then we'll link that into various perception types as well. So if you're a rogue, you'll be able to notice certain things that others won't. If you have certain skills like masonry or survival or whatever, there may be some opportunities for us to do that. So yeah, we're already using it in at least one quest, and then, like I said, Nick put some in here. We can also use it for simple things like you can read a plaque, or get more details about a statue or whatever, right? So there's a large crack here. Inspect crack. You see something glistening on the ground on the other side. There you go. So, Card asked, what's the inspiration for this game? Oh, and we are going to do things like, is it fair that a gnome can get through here and an ogre can't? No, but life's not always fair and balanced. I'm glad you're here, Nick. I might actually be able to find the room with you here. I got lost earlier and then went into the entire, like, the new section and was So Card asks, what's the inspiration for this game? Basically, the way that the early MMOs played was a bit different, and as MMOs got improved over the years, better quality of life and shorter session length and more hand-holding, all the things that I do believe made the genre more accessible, we kind of lost some of that early mystery and fun and frustration that made achievements feel a little bit better. And so we've talked about that a lot on stream, and we decided to sit down and kind of think about what we loved about the old MMOs that was missing from the new ones. And then I've been working in MMOs for the last 20 years. The last 3 companies I was at were actually fairly niche products. I worked at King's Isle, which did Wizard 101, Pirate 101, game MMO for kids. They did well. But we're still niche. I worked at a company in Germany that makes a game that no one's ever heard of, really, except for tons of people in Europe, I guess, back in the day, that did really well financially. And then I worked at a company in Sweden that makes an online horse adventure game for girls. All of these companies have been successful by making small products with small team and growing it over time. And we thought, you know what, given today's tool set, us not trying to reinvent the wheel, us having a clear idea of what we want to use from the old games, but then improve upon with the new, sort of our new approach, like things like the mud object interaction you just saw. We thought, hey, we could probably make something that's financially viable with a small team and have it be very inspired by the old games, but not just inspired by those games, but inspired by the things that inspired those games. And so it's like MUDs. All right, so interaction in MUDs and trying to make a more of a place than just a gamey feeling game. Fantasy novels, what were those nerds reading when they decided to make the first MMOs? Old movies, badass old music, vans with unicorns airbrushed on the side of them, all that kind of shit. D&D, right? And so, when is the horse adventure game for girls coming? It's already out. It's been out for like 10 or 11 years, and it's grown linearly year over year. It's called Star Stable Online. During the pandemic, they had 700,000 girls playing each month. 700,000 monthly active users for an MMO that you probably haven't heard of before. The game that I worked on before that had 450,000 monthly active users. And you probably haven't heard of it either. It was like a Flash-based PvP browser game called Dark Orbit. It's possible to make games that not everybody's heard of or aren't made for everybody that makes, that actually is a viable business. Now you want a Eminem poster of a party driving their Eminem van to the game store to buy a copy. You show up at Goblin Streams and tell him that you want that, and he may actually sketch that for you. You can follow everybody here. If you just hop in our Discord, you'll see whenever any of us are streaming, and I would say on average there's at least three of us streaming each week, maybe 4, and yeah. Angel01, have a great day yourself. Sorry, I was talking a lot just then, and I missed all of this in chat. Have you guys thought about an interaction hotkey UI? Maybe it pops up after a successful look. Yeah, so we're talking about the best UX for that. We'll definitely be playing with the user experience there. Do you have a way to tie in the inspect commands required to move a quest forward, or will it just be an option? BDC Retro, we've already got a quest in that actually uses one. Because of the way that we build quests, it's not like a series of flags. A lot of the way that we're currently implementing quests is very old school in that it's either a initial interaction that's triggered by a dialogue, but when we do that, we can't control the prerequisite steps, or it's you have an item, you turn it in, interact with the NPC is going to tend to give you an item, oftentimes a container like a bag or a pouch or something like that for you to put other items in and hit combine. And then you go out and get more items. And so daisy chains you through the quest series, and then it ends, and that's that. We'll naturally have faction requirements, level requirements, class requirements, and things like that. But we're holding off on using like sort of behind the scenes flagging as much as possible initially, just to see if we can recreate that feel. And yeah, we can definitely make it so that you interact with the quests that I'm mentioning. You have to have 2 items that an NPC gives you in order to be able to complete the interaction, which gives you a new item, which then you take back. Excuse me. How many years into development are we? We cite this month as kind of our anniversary. Here, let me show you something. I might be able to find it. It was in Slack. Oh man, don't want to show you that one. Scroll up, that's not it. Where did we actually have that? I'll have to find it. I'll have to find it. So we want to do a little bit of a retrospective, but yeah, there's this fun image from like barely back in the day. So we got started in September of 2020, and it was just like a few of us. It was 4 of us, I think. And Ollie went, like, he went to town immediately, implementing functionality. So I want to put together a little retrospective video. But this was October 2020. Ollie had just added zoning. I don't think our tools were even data driven or anything back then. It was like we just got started. But it's funny if you notice that corridor, you may recognize some of this stuff still in game. And then we ran with Tic Tac. We ran with Tic Tac models basically the whole year through September of 2021. And then we had commissioned some art, but we didn't have artists on the team yet until so we had a little bit of art coming in that we had basically commissioned, and then we put out the word for more team members, and that's when we got Gary and John and Harrison and Connor. I'm using their real names, and then Alec, and then we just have been going since then, growing since then, and just we've done a ton of shit in this last year. So Harrison, I haven't found the room because I can't find it. I'm incompetent as an adventurer. I can't find a damn room. Now that you're here and Nick's here, you can maybe guide me into the room. I found everything but the room. I found the entire new wing of the dungeon. Go back downstairs. I'm betting you already talked about this, but what do you think of the GTA 6 leaks? I didn't even know that there was GTA 6 leaks. I just saw that some people were upset that their game had gotten leaked. And it's and you know, I understand why they're upset, but also we're just kind of building the game with you guys. So it's such a different vibe for us at the moment. That it's just kind of like go back upstairs. Okay. Yeah. Sorry for the frame rate hit. We broke some lights, and so there's a little bit of a frame rate hit at the moment. Okay, blue torch area. I went here. Is this the wrong window? I went... No, I went here. Albius asks, hey, I asked about the stats at creation in Discord. Are you guys planning to have a pool of points regardless of race? Point buyer, are you guys going for EQ total equals class plus race? I don't think we've said anything certain yet. I mean, if Nick's listening, he's probably got an idea of what he's thinking there, but it's one of those things where there may be some elements of character creation that as we get a little bit further along will tweak to make them feel a little more RPG or old school or whatever. And so we'll probably discuss or debate internally on some of that. Turn right here. I thought I went this way before. No, I didn't go this way before. I went this way before. Damn stairs. I'm a gnome. I went this way because it caught my eye. Actually, I didn't. No, I was not even in here. I'm lying to you. All right, this is the tomb. This is what we've been seeking for over an hour because apparently I can't navigate in fantasy worlds. Finding out that GTA 6 is being made in the Red Dead Revolver 2 engine is the big leak. Really? Modders are already planning now? Yeah, I mean, all right, reveal coming. Maybe I need a glowing path to guide me. How dare you? I just need a wiki page open. The problem was I didn't have the wiki open on the other monitor. You slackers. You slackers need to get to making us a wiki page that is at least as awesome looking as the Project 1999 wiki. It's one of that wiki is one of my favorite things. Oh, look at this. Oh. Esan, thank you for your generosity. G Fuel and Math, there you go. You got yourself a gift sub. Will ogres be stronger? Like really stronger statistically, or will you be able to roleplay that you're stronger? Because we're going to let you roleplay that you're stronger no matter what prime number. Statistically, we'll have to see. The cuts in the doorways are new, yeah. Male characters should be stronger than female characters, Prime Number said. Please don't start that debate in here. Tomb of the Nudist Colony? Yeah, we'll have to get them some armor. Let's go up here. prime number. Prime number. We should definitely do that. We should do that because there's nothing like a ton of free publicity on Twitter, I guess. No, we're not going down that path. So all of this is brand new. Ooh, lots of little areas to pull while you're sitting at this camp. It's wonderful. And Nick has already populated them. How big of a level range for this place? That's bound to change as we go, and the definition of this place has just gotten a fair bit bigger. We're looking at, it's essentially a level 2 to 5-ish dungeon, Railburn. And with certain camps kind of being a bit higher, we're going to sprinkle some like, oh shit, red moments throughout as well, once we're looking at the totality of the dungeon, and it'll transition into a higher level dungeon as you go through the areas that I stumbled into earlier. We want to intermix level ranges and things a fair bit. Throughout the game. So it's very possible that you go around a turn somewhere in this dungeon and things are just very, very red to you. And then you know to maybe come back and explore that wing of the dungeon later. Varg, thank you for the follow. There's a lot of healing going on in this room. Yeah, so pulling in here is going to be fun. Looking forward to playtesting and getting a feel for the way it... Is there music for this zone? You should be able to hear it in the background right now. Can you not hear it? I'll turn it up a little bit. So if you don't know about the GTA 6 situation, there were development videos worth 50 plus minutes in total leaked and distributed on Mega and YouTube. Here, I've turned it up a little bit. Yeah, I'll when I'm done here today, I'll dig into it a little bit so that I can speak to the topic. Nice. Harrison, I dig it. So then the thing that we were talking about earlier when I got lost is we're talking about the dungeon, the expanded area. Well, it'll basically take you into a more natural sort of cavern system. And we were talking a little bit the other day about having that cavern system then convey the feel of our first deep zone, so deep dunes. So it ties them together thematically. So this was a very placeholder zone that I had thrown together, and then Pattis had came in and threw some mushrooms and some lighting in just so we had it as a concept. And what we were doing in the early playtests is there was a secret entrance in Night Harbor. There's a secret entrance in Shaded Dunes. There was a trap in the dungeon that we were using that would drop you in here. And then there was a secret entrance in what we were calling Death Valley at the time. And so you were able to basically come here and traverse between the zones the same way you would an outdoor zone to get between the zones. And actually it was a little bit shorter than if you went the other way. A bit of a TARDIS effect. Yeah, there should be glowy beetles in here. / repop. Yeah, so essentially, yeah, our Underdark. So the deep realms are going to be all sorts of interesting varied zones just underground. Well, they're in here somewhere. Did I cast a heal spell today? I did, Nick. Did that crash something? Or are you just saying for the effect? I forgot that I died. Dare me to lick one of those mushrooms? Usually licking them's not a problem. Oh yeah, I'll do that right now, since I am a cleric. Don't ask me how I died, that's rude. You shouldn't ask people how they died. Like I said, kind of cool that the underground zones are alternate ways of travel. Might be interesting for long distance travel for classes without invis, who might be able to use an alternate or less dangerous way to get to where they need to go. Yeah, so there are a number of, first of all, thank you. There are a number of things that we can do here, right? Because it just gives the world a little bit more depth and, pun intended. But then you can also find dungeons that take you even deeper. We can do interesting sort of pulpy themes, center of the world, jungle, blah, blah, blah. Excuse me. We can have dungeons lead into here. We can have alternate entrances into dungeons and cities from here. We can potentially have unique teleportation locations, right? So instead of a copse of trees, it could be a ring of mushrooms that's a different spell that allows you to get to different mushroom rings in other areas. So it allows us to basically add some more layers of fun in there. And like BDC just said, it may also be helpful for certain races or classes that are not welcome on the surface. And I think it roots some of those like deep races into a place that feels more natural for them, right? I love the Dark Elves in EQ, but essentially as soon as you go straight out and into a forest as opposed to like spending any time in the underground, really. So you're Albius, you're writing a story about the Riverbend Bandits as mushroom bandits, pretty much. Was that already in there? I've got to read your chapter that you posted. Okay, I'll cast a heal. Nick reminded me to do that. So Zukin's been working on replacing our placeholder effect, and then and we're getting the music tied in. lighting tied in, figuring out some things on the effect side, so. Some of the deep races may leave their city into the Underrealm and discover other player race cities down there that have never even been to the surface. How cool is that? Yeah, BDC. It's got potential. Are there going to be tier spell effects for different level ranges? Yeah, so what you're looking at is like multiple tiers. Folks that were watching Zukin's stream, you know, reminded me that he was starting from like full, and then we can do kind of a subtractive process from there. I'm on a quest to find these beetles. They do exist. Let's see if I can not pick myself up and drop myself to death this time. Keep in mind, we really haven't done much in the way of like population or anything in here. And I'm curious if anything has been broken. Could be that something got broken. Yeah, I'm trying to find you some that are actually above ground. Any ETA for the new website? Nope. I apologize. We're not super big on ETAs. They're burrowing beetles. That could be. Where are you, beetles? Here, let me... There's one. There's two. There's three. Okay. Here's some. Yeah, so we'll figure out what's going on here. It's probably just a nav mesh issue or something. We'll get it fixed. But we're never in here at the moment. As we start to come in and clean up, all of this is, like I said, my placeholder geo that I threw in. When it's time to kind of clean things up and get this zone ready for you to explore, we'll have that fixed. But I wanted to show off the theme a little bit since we were just talking about it in the dungeon. Zone Night Harbor. Navinji, thank you for the follow. Samuel Sosa, thank you as well. Tenwe 123, thank you. Where's everybody coming from? Wait, am I not wearing pants? What's up with my pants? Is it because I died? Did I break something? I just got my diaper on, Tommy. Let me log out and back in and see if my pants reappear. Like I said, I wonder what role overworld races will play in the underworld. Will there be foreign quarters in underworld cities? Yeah. Big fan of foreign quarter in Nariak. And you'll probably see that in a number of the cities. A little bit of a mix in different districts. Are some of the new animations in game that the animators have been working on? Yes, and some of them are in. Some of them I think are in progress. Unfortunately, William, our new animator, has been really sick all weekend. So. What's my favorite animation so far? Cotswold asked. That sit that I made. I'm not gonna be modest. Look at me sit. It was made for the ogre, so that ogre's big ass kind of gets settled into the sand. But look at that. Well, I mean, it was made for an ogre, so it's got more of a thump. So there. I'll take that one. Are you going to be designing the gnome dance? Maybe. My pants are back. So yeah, that was it. I'll be honest, I had a lot of fun animating the capsules. All of our, little capsule dudes. I enjoyed it. Some of the placeholder animations I had fun with. It's just not my skill set or background or whatever. So I'm glad that we've got William on the team now. And but I'll definitely be chiming in with some silly ideas. Justin said, I saw there's Halloween candy at our local grocery store the other day. Kind of excited. Yeah, we've got it popping up as well. Dude, the corn that I harvested from our garden is so Halloween. So I've got like, I grew some black corn and some blood red corn. And now that it's like dried and the colors have gotten richer, man, it looks so Halloween. The song keeps playing in your dreams. Mine too. That and the theme song I wind up humming all the time. Jasmine laughs at me. Nick Demas said there's been like over 100 consistently watching. Oh, that's cool. I turn off the viewer count. I've after like the first month of streaming, I turned off viewer count because if anybody's streaming, I don't know if you run into this, but the idea of like looking at that number and if it goes up or down or whatever, like thinking, oh, what did I do? Did I say something wrong? Or, oh, was that, it's just, so I haven't had the viewer count on for 2 years basically. So whenever it's doing good and somebody says something, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Don't get me wrong. I check after the stream. It's always nice to have people in here, but I'd rather it be more about us talking and bullshit and hanging out and working on stuff than me worrying about whether or not there's people in here. So all of you that are in here, thank you very much. It's very, very, very cool to think that folks are interested in checking it out. If you're new here, check out our website. You can learn more about the game. FAQ is pretty up to date. You can get like an overview, not really a roadmap, but like a breakdown of what we're doing and what we plan on doing. If you click on the roadmap link on the FAQ, you can learn more about the team and then join us in Discord. The Broken Tribal Chief. Thank you for the follow. MILF Hunter. I wonder if the MILF Hunter works for the Tribal Chief. Thank you for the follow as well. Interesting tribe you guys have. That gnome's got some wide hips. Well, you know what they say about wide hip gnome, Kinster. What about, what do I think about the combat idle items? EQ didn't have them. You attack from standing. You can lose some charm having them. So, I've, since we started, recommended there being a combat idle that when your auto attack is on, you go into, just to see if that can make some of the attack animations seem more natural and smoother. It feels like we're kind of in between at the moment with some of the animations. So we'll have to look at it. As with everything that we're doing, as we're working on stuff, I mean, the benefit of, you know, one of the many benefits of doing this on stream with you guys is that we're constantly looking at stuff, getting your feedback, looking at our feedback, getting eaten by Jackal, Pup. Oh my gosh. And just figuring out like, all right, is this working for us? Does this look good? Is this a good idea? So we've been highly iterative without really wasting our time or being like flip-floppy or whatever. So definitely a benefit of doing it. William going to stream at all? I'm not sure, Rev. Hopefully that makes sense, Kimmery. Yeah, I'm amped on the community so far. Did I show the new human anims? I haven't. I can pop in unless you're a human and running around and I can look at you. The walk, or the run is definitely. It's funny, I never use /camp because it's just quicker. Or it seemed like it was quicker. Aggro guard? No. The run animation needs some work. I agree. Nick, thanks for all the feedback, animation feedback the other day. I checked it out and agreed with. Whoops, let me take off my cheat. Agreed with everything. So the yeah, we're gonna fix this texture as well. Don't worry. The arm swing. It's noticeable in here, the lack of arm swing. And then Goblin had mentioned the knees. The knees jut out a little bit, so we'll have to work on that. But I think we got to get the more natural arm swing in here. It doesn't matter what weapon you're carrying. Bellpaster said a little Naruto-esque on the arms. My wife said the same thing. We're not picking on it. It's just the observation. Did I die on this character as well? Oh, I guess I just never had the abilities. So let's look at attack. Yeah, so the question about like whether or not there should be a combat idol. I'm kind of looking at some of the footwork and stuff, so I have to put together some thoughts on that. He definitely got a sort of a whip to the arm when he's doing it. He asked if I could pan. Weapon flares out a bit much on the horizontally on the attack, maybe. This is the human model. We do not have Eurydites, Justin. We need to get into looting animation. Yeah, I see what you're saying about the arm flare. The sit's great. And we can interrupt it. So. It's no gnome sit, but also nice. Fair. Thank you for the support, Cindercroft. Yeah, so sort of that side whipping. Look at that. When William's feeling better, we'll go through and talk about the animations probably in real time a bit more and see what's working and not and blah blah blah. I think I tend to overthink kind of like realistic body movement. Oops. For some of this stuff, and that may not read as well. It's maybe too subtle on some of this stuff. I'm always like subtlety. So I would look at this and be like, let's make them a little less breathy, right? Whereas other people, you want a little bit of movement so it catches your eye, and you're probably not distracted if you come up and you see the movement. So that's just one of those things we'll have to iterate on and see what everybody thinks. Chrono said the whip wide swing looks like it'd be a bit better for a club or blunt weapon, maybe. Also think about whether or not, like, what's the difference between single hand swing and offhand? Have people heard any of this new track? At the beginning of the stream, I even paused my ramble for a bit so people could hear more of it. Is there PvP? Not currently implemented, but there will be PvP, Greasy Josh. Let's go faster. Yeah, so it's that reset that I'm noticing as well. The front foot and the left arm. William, if you're lurking in the background, don't take offense. We're just doing our thing we do where we analyze in real time. That said, the rate of movement, I really look how nice that looks. So direction aside, like the sort of the speed at the end of the attack is really nice. Like to the point of, I don't know if he's doing anything special there or not, but there's even like that bit of blur, right? Alright, I'm about to die to this rat because I actually don't have any abilities loaded. Yeah. Belfaster said timing's great. So that is, I guess that's what I was trying to articulate. Killed by a rodent of unusual size. Oh, Justin. Cindercroft, have a great day. Maybe I'll see you on Thursday. I'll be back on Thursday. So we're going to close those of you that were on the mailing list that got the survey, did I add that guard text or did you, Nick? I was playing with a guard aggro text the other, like yesterday. Let me fix that real quick. Because I was looking at the, oh, I'll fix it in the new tool. Guard, which guard was the one that? Yeah, okay. So I need to fix that on my end. I thought I fixed it in a tool. Maybe it didn't save, so I'll check the database afterwards. Me. Says. I'm pretty sure I did fix this in here. Oop. Oh well. I will not save that. And then I'll do this. Me. Cool. He says. All right, so updated here. Hit save. Let me check the database now and see if it actually saved out to the database. This is a fairly new tool. Or integration of the tool, I should say. Reload data. Yeah, the new track that Robert added is really relaxing to work to. Okay, so it's there. Ah. Alright, so let's try this again. A lot of character in the sit as well. Like the asymmetry and the lean placement of the items in the hand, all that stuff. So good job, William, if you're lurking. But I don't think we're just picking on stuff. Corian, I don't know if I said thank you for the follow, but thank you. Mortis RPG, thank you for the follow as well. Alright, so let's repopulate the zone's data. And then we'll drag a mob over here. Are you doing any database design, like if you have checkboxes for undead or fey, or likewise checking that box adds those characteristics to the NPC? Help me understand the question. Essentially, that is... Ah, cool. All right, it's fixed. So, do you mean in like the editors that are being added in? So we've been primarily just working in the database, right? So. And then Ollie and Keith have been working on stuff to make it so that essentially we've got more of a form view to make things, especially stuff like abilities that are that span multiple tables. Make that a little bit easier to understand. So BDC Retro said, so let's say you have a human fighter but wanted to make a zombie version. You check that box and it will add the rules that affect undead to the NPC. So you don't have to remember to add those features to each NPC. Oh, I see what you mean. So essentially having attributes specific to like a given race that are then inherited into the NPC based on the race selection that you pick. So we have NPC race, but it's primarily driving art, and then that allows us, because when you, this is just my thought, and again, different people do it different ways. One of the things that I have concern with when we're designing something like this is if there's too much inheritance, then what if I want to make an exception to that rule? Then do I need to have an override? Do I need to make a new version of that race? So like, really bad example, but say for whatever reason we had a Fae that we wanted to have certain attributes of the Fae, but then for whatever reason she's no longer magical or something, right? Then we've got to create an exception there, as opposed to the way that I've typically worked and the teams I've worked with have typically worked, is we'll create like an NPC record. And so let me zombie. So we've got the toxic zombie from back in the day that we're using, right? So we can assign the race in here, but there's really not a lot of inheritance that's happening. But instead, we can then, for the most part, I might be talking out of my ass here because there may be some stuff that we're doing that is on the, let me go check the table. We may be doing it slightly different than what I'm explaining, and I might just be thinking that I'm living in 1999. So if we go to race, which will actually be what, constants? Yeah, it's really just driving like the model and defining whether or not it's a player race. And so we would need to put all of that, we would have all of that information in here, though I'm pretty sure you're mentioning something that if it's not in the new tool, let's make sure that it is actually in the NPC record. Because you may be spotting, you may basically be mentioning a whole bunch of flags that we still need to add. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we don't have it set up yet. So things like, is summoned, is undead, is this, is that, is not in here yet. Good point. And then once that's flagged, you know, basically once we've set that bool, then, because when we do it this way as well, we could also have something that is summoned and undead. I don't know if that combination makes sense. Or, you know, whatever the various bools are that we want to set up there. And then my assumption is the way that works is, that's probably not then keyed to another table somewhere. It's probably, potentially, and maybe we don't want to do it this way. If Keith's listening, I'm sure he's listening intently on the best way to data drive this instead of hard coding it. So in the past, the way it would probably work is there's a bunch of attributes to undead, or maybe not. It could just be that it's then setting a bool that's like, this thing is undead. So then when you're using like a certain ability that affects undead, then it knows to do that. Or I think we have, yeah, we're setting various vision types, right? So can see versus, can see invisible versus undead, can see visible versus elemental, animal, all that stuff's in here. So, yeah. So now that I say that, I won't be shocked if as we add those options in, it basically links to another table where we can then define what each of those attributes are so that we don't have to go in and like recode what you're saying. Right, so essentially, like you're saying, see invis, resistance slashing, whatever, bonus damage for blunt objects, whatever it is, and you know, some negative to fire or whatever. It's probably going to be better for us to data drive that so that we can tweak it without having to bother programmers and wasting their time, and do all sorts of weird complexities and break shit and be inconsistent, because being inconsistent is often a lot of fun. Gives it a little bit more flavor. You're like, it gives you something to complain about in Discord. Also, you'd be like, you weren't expecting that. So, no, great point. We don't have that currently. We need to add it. I need to go back through I had an old spreadsheet. Like, back in the day, I sat down and tried to remember everything that would be needed for sort of the primary kind of tables. I think I was on an airplane and I made this spreadsheet on my phone. And it was just like a list of all the checkboxes. I wonder if that list actually had those checkboxes that were missing. And if they did, then I'm gonna pat myself on the back and then also kick myself in the butt for not checking that spreadsheet in like a year. So yeah, let's look at some of the other stuff. Ollie just added this stuff in, but it's work that both Ollie and Keith and probably others will be working on as we go. It's funny, I spent some time talking to Hidden Tree from Evercraft Online. If you're not familiar with Evercraft Online, you should definitely check it out. It's super rad. But was talking to him after he got back from vacation. Was just he was showing me like some of their tooling and stuff as well, and it's really cool to kind of see the parallels, and they've got really great tooling over there. And so it was one of those kind of like reminders of, oh yeah, we're doing everything in the spreadsheet, or sorry, not spreadsheets, but in the database right now. And so it'll be cool to like make it a little bit easier to get in and understand this. And it seems like it may seem like a small thing, but even having the stuff like flavor text in a form like this makes it a lot easier to get in. And we're not right now, this is the ability editor, and right now abilities are spread across like 5 tables, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. At least 3. And so it definitely makes it a lot easier to get in and just kind of see, oh yeah, shit, I should be putting in this info when I'm making an ability. The thing I was going to say earlier when we were talking about kind of inheritance from like other tables and stuff, most of the content that I've seen made over the years, what'll wind up happening is we'll have a zombie, and somebody will either make the first zombie, or there will be a zombie. I just got on the team and I need to make a zombie. I'll just look for I'll look for either an effect, so heal. Oops, spelled properly, right? And it's great because then I can find a heal. And especially if I'm coming from a player background, like when I got onto the EverQuest team, I was a player first. And so when I started creating content, like it was a hell of a lot easier for me to look for a mob that I knew and go, oh, I want to create a zombie, but I want to make it a little different. And so I'd go in, do a very simple query, find zombies that are there, and once I knew like the prefix and stuff like that for the way that the prefixes that we're using for various zones and stuff, I could go, oh, I want a zombie just like that one that was in that one zone. And then it was like, cool, I'll run a query, I'll find that zombie based on his name or whatever, I'll duplicate that zombie, I'll tweak it, and yeah, so much of the content that I've made over the years has just been a tweak of a tweak of a tweak. Or you could just make an NPC called zombie template, apply the flags you want, copy that for each new zombie. If you want something changed, you just update the template. But I don't disagree with you, and honestly, that's probably a good best practice. But what I find is, and maybe this is just me, a lot of times what will happen is you'll have template and somebody will make a zombie and it'll make a variation, but then somebody will want a variation of the variation, and then somebody else will either want that original variation, but more likely maybe they ran into the variation of the variation of the variation. And so it's like, and this is what I've seen where like when people start doing like hierarchical sort of stuff, all of a sudden you've got this thing that is basically now, 42nd child of the original like master or parent template, and then someone will go in there and alter the template or some shit, and it will change all of this crap all the way, cascading all the way down the line. So I really like just a shitload of unique records. So if there's, because then if I break something, it's that unique record. If I need to go back in and modify it, the downside is you may have a ton of these, and so then if it's like, oh, we need to make all zombies, we're gonna, oh shit, we didn't have undead, we need to check that. Then it's, well, you run a query and then you just either through, like a SQL script or whatever. We did this all the time, like, it's like, we need to update 60,000 items in EverQuest or whatever. Well, thank God John knows how to go in there and actually write a script that'll do that. If that makes sense. So I'm not saying it's not best practice. I'm just saying I'm old, and sometimes it's easier for this old dog to just stick with old trick because I know what to expect. Antimatter 83 said this looks interesting. Thank you. What was under jobs tab? If Gary's in here, he... that looks like stuff that I don't use. Gary could probably explain it. Safety check. I'm assuming it's got to do with our build. Or various... Yeah, so I don't know. I really love the background music that was added. I tend to work in the editor, right? So I'll, especially once I've gotten started implementing a quest or something, I'm usually just repopping a lot and looking at, making sure that each little step that I've added is updating in real time. And so it's nice to have this great sort of background music while we're working. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier. I will be here on Thursday. We'll be taking the survey information, and we're going to cut off responses Thursday morning on the survey that we had sent out over the weekend. That way, once we reveal the selections that everyone made, there's no like there's no sort of temptation to go in and try to somehow spam your favorite selection or something. And not that I don't trust you guys, but you know. So we'll be looking at the survey results on Thursday, maybe. I think that'd be fun. And then you can do your various commenting about some of the race class combos that we have added in there, and I'll try to give you an answer on some of it. We'll see how that goes. And yeah, about how right you were. Nicodemus said, the older I get, the more I appreciate the older ways of coding. The simplicity of just writing what you need. You can spend a lot of time just hunting for a plugin in the sea of complexity. Many options doing the same thing. I will say the approach that we're taking with tools and sort of the simplicity of our database and things like that is something I've been wanting to do for a very long time. Because I've worked, on a number of games since EQ, and throughout those various development processes, and as I got on other teams or whatever, I found myself like the whole time I was on EverQuest, we were always complaining about like the database and some of the duct tape and chicken wire we had to use to make shit work and all of that. And I'll be honest. Over the years, the more I saw other ways of doing it, and like on DC Universe, where we landed with that tool set and stuff like that, like I just missed the old simple database and how sort of how the constraints made me think a certain way about like approaching content creation and how they were, it was a very simple sort of setup, but just really, really efficient. So yeah. EQ got into trouble for too much hard coding though. Some things they wanted to fix took years. Yeah, BDC. I mean, and it's inevitable. Like every game, every live game that I've been on, folks were like, oh man, we really need to go back and refactor this, or oh man, we really need to go like fix whatever, you know what I mean? Like it's unavoidable, just because work with any tool for years and you're going to learn so much about like how that tool could have been done better. And that's all we're talking about, right? And then you also have people that get on the team after the fact, and they'll be like, why in the hell was this done this way? Because they weren't the person that did it, or they weren't, they weren't the person that had like 12 things on their list that needed to be done by Monday and it's Thursday. And so shit just kind of got hammered in. So it's kind of the realities of game development. Albia said, my dad only knew assembly, and he literally made a hack for a Daggerfall from scratch so he could give me gear because it was too hard and I was like 5. Oh, that's so sweet. That's amazing. It's like the first time I first played Ultima 1 or 2 at the public library at the army base that I was living on, Fort Campbell. And it was like old monochrome monitor and stuff. And I came in one day because you would check out the discs and stuff. I came in one day and somebody had modified Ultima to have like treasure chests everywhere, and my mind was blown that somebody could do that. I think it was like 11 or 12 or something. It was just like, holy. And so yeah, that's always stuck with me. It was such a magical moment that somebody could actually modify the game. Yeah, Scorn. Have you talked to Niantic or any of the folks from the team recently? I know you're still active, right? I have to assume you're still active in EQ Live. I haven't really heard. I haven't heard much in a while. Because I haven't been doing the interviews. Frequently, yes. All right. I still want to hear, like, I know it's a little bit harder for people that are working at the company, but you joined their new CRC, community something council. Kimry said most games are made out of metaphorical duct tape and bubble gum. Yeah. Community Resource Council. Oh, cool. Well, that makes a hell of a lot of sense. Your like your involvement with the game and all that. I am not shocked to hear that. Nicodemus said, when you're blazing a new trail, sometimes it's hard to see the best way to get to your destination. Great applications are rewritten over time with best practices learned. Sometimes. Then sometimes they just remain crazy for 20 years. All right, guys. It's 5 o'clock on my end. So I'm going to wrap up for today. And then I'm going to be here Thursday. Tomorrow I'm going to spend some time doing implementation of the quests that I wrote over the weekend, and then we can look at some of that and maybe play through them a bit. On Thursday we'll also talk about the survey and get ready for the weekend. The Only Sake, thank you for the follow. Thank everybody. Lots of follows today. I really appreciate it. That means there's probably a lot of new people. The Watcher, for whatever reason I just heard that in Dr. Dre's voice. If you're not familiar with The Watcher from Dr. Dre, I think you should just be able to Google that. I had to get at least one old hip-hop reference today. Kimmery, you're welcome. Thanks for being here. John, thanks for being here. I hope everything's going good. The Pilgrim One, those of you that are not familiar, I think I mentioned it in Discord. Our Discord is here. The Pilgrim One has a game coming out this month, I believe, right? Salt 2, SALT 2 on Steam. Go check it out. The Only Sake said, I like listening while I also do game dev. Yeah, I try to catch up on the team's streams. It just released today. Oh, wow. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so if you're interested, you want to see where our beautiful inspiration for our water came from and maybe some things that will convince John to add to our game over time, check out Soul 2. Goblin is also working on a game. We've got to get more information posted about that. It's called Witherhome. So, yeah, Alvius, thank you very much. Hopefully I'll see you Thursday. Nicodemus, yep, I'll be here Thursday. See ya. Sockeye, you're very welcome. Oh, you're playing P99. Awesome. I'm jealous. I need to get back in and play more. I feel so guilty with all the crap I got to get done. BDC, good to see you. Ishiwatari, vielen Dank. Bis Donnerstag. See you, Rev. Again, our Discord for people that are new here. That's the Eminem Discord. If you want to hear me occasionally post about random shit that's not Eminem, that's the stream Discord. Here's our website. Here's our mailing list. We're over 2,000 people. So we hit our 2-year goal. We're over 2,000 people. It was nice to send that questionnaire, that survey out to everybody. And if you want to watch more VODs, here's our YouTube. So a bunch of links for you. I am going to get out of here now. Bye-bye.